Make sure I get the recording going. Perfect. Okay, so we're so glad that you're here at Brand Builders Academy. We have this amazing community of women, and so what I want to do is give you a high-level overview for those of you who are visiting or going to be watching the replay, who are not here, of what our community is all about and how we serve solo business women entrepreneurs. So this is a really practical group, and I'm just gonna, like I said, give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain in terms of what we offer. So welcome, welcome. If you are new here, please comment in the chat. And actually, even if you are regular members, comment in the chat so other people can get to know you and say hello. If you have a way to connect on social media, feel free to add that in the chat. It's always fun to connect with new people. So I do open up this Brand Builders Academy once a month when I bring in a guest speaker. So for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is a really good snapshot and great free complimentary training that guests can take a look at. It also gives our guest experts new visibility into other people's businesses and connecting with other people. So I just think it's a win-win for everybody, right? So welcome, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. This is a little bit about our values as a group of entrepreneurs. So this group is continually growing, and one thing that really binds us all together are the values that we share, that we all share these 7 core values as in our business and how we do things. So collaboration is one of the first things. We really emphasize the power of teamwork and supporting one another. We value that, and we recognize that by working together, we can achieve greater success. We have this abundance mentality in this group. We are not competitors. We are all here to collaborate and help one another. Empowerment is our next value, and we really foster a sense of empowerment that's so crucial. We believe in empowering ourselves and others so that we can all reach our full potential, both in our personal life and professionally. Authenticity. It's really, really important to be true to ourselves and for our brand that we are highly valued, that we highly value within this group. So we understand that authenticity is really the key to building the trust and establishing meaningful connections. That's what we are all about. Continually learning. We are all about continually learning. You're going to find just by glancing at this group, we have a broad group of women from different life stages, and I love that about this group. And one thing that I love is that everybody continually wants to learn. We are always innovating. We are embracing creativity and thinking outside of the box, which is really important. We aim to bring fresh ideas, innovative solutions, and unique perspectives to our businesses. Mentorship. A lot of us have been mentors or have had mentors. That's really important, the whole pay it forward mentality. And then purpose. We are showing up on purpose and for a purpose to impact our families, our friends, and our community through our businesses. So really important 7 values that we really stand on, and that's why we like to share this with new people who are coming in to check it out, because we want to make sure that this is a community that you feel like you could belong in as well. This is something that I really like to go through because we are about branding. Everything, somebody just reached out to me the other day and wanted to kind of come into this group and really talk about a topic that we really haven't touched on, and it's more about business. And so what I always want to make sure is that we are really driving everything with our personal brand, that we are discussing things in this group that have to do with creating authentic connections, distinguishing ourselves from other people that make us memorable, and also a brand that withstands changing companies and prevents what I call random acts of marketing. So it's really important to have a personal brand, and that is really what is the driving force behind people's purchasing decisions, especially today in this age that we're in. So I always like to bring that up because if people are coming and checking out this group and they don't have a personal brand yet, it's really important that we stand on this principle inside this group. this is a quick peek at my 5-step process that everybody in this group has gone through, is going through, and it's just so important to keep at the forefront that we are always clear on our values, we're radiating our mission, we're attracting our ideal audience, because let's face it, not everybody is our ideal audience. We're narrowing our niche, and we're distinguishing our uniqueness. So this is like the 5-step process that every successful brand really builds on. And so really adding value, I like to continue to bring that up inside this group so that we're all reminded of why we're here and what a brand has to do with growing our business. I liken our brands to the foundation of a home. That your brand is really what everything else sits on. Your marketing sits on it, your digital footprint, your brand strategy needs to be really clear before your marketing can be effective. So really keeping this in mind, I think, is helpful. So sharing meaningful content, and actually this is what we're going to be talking about today, that I know Sydney is going to touch on, is that meaningful content and how we can really put that out there. One of my things I say over and over, like a broken record player, stories sell, facts tell. So how can you tell your story? And what a better way to do that, as we're going to be doing today, as talking about effective video and how to really attract your audience. So I wanted to share this snapshot. This is kind of what our month inside of Brand Builders Academy looks like. We meet for 4 live group coaching sessions a month. And this is just a little peek. This month was a little different because we've had a holiday at the beginning, but we have a really action-packed group. Lots of holding each other accountable, lots of being authentic in where we are in our business, asking real questions. And if you are somebody who really just wants to get it done and you're tired of just webinar after webinar, this is going to be a great spot for you, because we really do hold each other accountable. We get things done, we take action, and that's what I think this group makes this group so unique. So this is just a little picture of what you get inside of the Brand Builders Academy. Live coaching sessions. I love to give gifts, so I give little gifts every month that have to do with your brand. We bring in expert guest trainers like we have Sydney today. We have brainstorming sessions. You get accountability. You get so much packed inside. I mean, 4 live coaching sessions a month is really a pretty incredible value, because you're going to get eyeballs, not just the group, but also me as somebody who's been in this industry for, I'm on 30 years this year, you guys. It's kind of crazy that I've been in this industry for that long. And so, kind of like that State Farm commercial, like I've seen a thing or two, so I know a thing or two, or whatever that commercial, however that goes, I've seen a lot. So if you are interested in that, I would love to talk more with you about this. And we do have an ambassador program, so everyone here in this group can benefit by inviting and having people come and check out this group, and we give back to the charity of their choice when they do that. So I love being able to give back to things that are impactful and meaningful to you. And so we do have that program as well. So we will really dive in. This is just something that I like to make sure you walk away here today with feeling like, you know what, if you wanted a community to help you get things done, there's a place for you. We go from winging it to winning it here, and we do it together. So it's a ton of fun. And with that, I am here for questions. If you are new or you're watching the replay and you are not a member of this group, there's going to be a follow-up message for you after today's session so that you can schedule a one-on-one call with me. Just get to know me, the group, so I can get to know you a little bit too. I love connecting business owners and seeing who might be good fits for you to work with and collaborate with in business as well. So if anything, it's another great connection. So does that sound good? Sounds fair for everyone? Awesome. Good. Okay, so with that, I'm going to switch gears and turn it over and have Sydney Chase introduce herself, tell us a little bit about you, your agency, Sydney, who you serve. And, I think it's always really interesting, and I know we had a conversation before this of how you got got here to this place where you are helping people with videos and social media content and that sort of thing. So go ahead, Sydney, and you can take it from here.
Amazing. Thanks, Heather. Well, hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here today. And this just seems like an incredible, really empowering community. So yeah, I'm really happy to be chatting with you all today. I'm going to share my screen because I think my presentation puts me right into those questions you asked, Heather. All right. So we'll go, let's see. All right, can everyone see my screen? Perfect. All right. Well, Heather set us up perfectly in terms of what we're talking about today with videos, but a little bit more about me. So my name is Sydney. I started my agency 22 Marketing Co. back in 2020, but I've been doing this work of social media management for about 6 years. So I got started in college studying marketing, communications, entrepreneurship. I started working at a marketing agency doing social media. And then I decided I was ready to go off on my own at 2021, of course, right when the pandemic hits and everything. But things have been going really well. I'm in my, fourth year now, which is crazy. But we are a social media marketing agency that serves women entrepreneurs, helping them increase their impact on social media. So our bread and butter is social media management. Most people come to us looking for help on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest, all the things. So we really focus on content creation. I also do a lot of strategy calls, consult calls, and we call ourselves your social media BFFs. We try and make it fun and easy. And we're all a women-led team, and we love working with other women entrepreneurs. So that's a little bit about me. But I'll have my Instagram at the end of this. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can learn all the things and check it out there. Okay. So today what we're going to cover are three main elements of video marketing. So we're going to go into pre-production, production, and post-production. Now I know these sound like some fancy like Hollywood video terms, but overall we're talking about what you're going to do before you film, what you're going to do when you actually film videos, and then what happens after the fact. So that is our agenda for today. And also, I know we're going to do some Q&A towards the end, so feel free to jot down some questions that may come up for you. I'm happy to go into specifics for your business. And I know Heather has set you all up in a great spot in terms of just overall the importance of video marketing and just, how branding ties to that. So I'm really excited to kind of get into the nitty gritty with you all today. So I know this looks like a lot of information, but I will send this presentation so Heather can send it to you all afterwards. But one of the best ways to set yourself up for pre-production is making sure that the actual tool that you're using to record is set up for optimal posting. So what I have in here are some settings to help you for the camera settings that you have on your phone. Now, first things first, in terms of just some little things that we may forget before we record. If you are using your phone, which I highly recommend, I recommend using the back camera on your phone. This is if you have an iPhone, if you have an Android, your back camera is going to be your highest quality for taking your videos. You probably notice when you're using the front camera, it looks a little blurry, it looks a little grainy. So use your back camera. Also, wipe your camera lens before you record. I know it sounds really simple and silly, but you would be surprised, how many smudges we get on these things. And I do recommend, like I said, to take your videos on your phone. Overall, what we've seen in terms of engagement, how you get your highest reach is actually iPhone quality videos. Oftentimes, if videos are shot on a professional camera, it almost looks overly curated, almost too professional for social media. It's not to say you can't ever do that. A lot of times for like real estate agents, for example, they'll do a lot of, drone videography and things like that. But I would say overall, I recommend just using your phone. So what I have listed here, it's step by step, some great camera settings to set in your phone. So these are for iPhone, so apologies if you are an Android user. Some of the settings may be similar, but I'm most familiar with iPhone. So if you go into the camera settings on your iPhone, you're gonna start to see kind of all this funky, this funky talk here. So I'm just gonna pull up my camera settings just so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay. So you're gonna get brought up to a screen that looks like this. And you're going to see record video. You're going to see a section that says record slow-mo. And if you can see here in these two sections. So you want to make sure where it says 1080p, 30 FPS, you don't need to know what all of these terms are. You see mine says 4K. So you just want to click on where it says record video. And what this does is set you up for optimal posting. So you're going to click the 1080 and then 30 right here. So again, you're going to get this recording so you can make sure to go into your settings. But in terms of a quick way that you can take action, setting this up on your phone is a great, easy thing that you can do today. The next thing you'll want to do, let's see here, I'm just making sure mine looks the same as you. The second thing is you want to switch from high efficiency to most compatible. So basically what this does is sets up your video to be most compatible to post on Instagram. So if you are on this screen here, can you guys see this? I don't know if it's like a little glary. I know it might be a little difficult. I'll send some little step-by-step recording on my phone of how you can do this as well. You'll see a section that says HDR right here, and you'll want to turn that on as well. I'll send this to you, so don't worry. Okay, so these are just some camera settings to make sure you have on your phone. Again, you can set this up afterwards, and I'll make sure you are all set up on this with a video. But in terms of pre-production, these are just some little things you're going to want to make sure. Does anyone have an Android? I can send a resource for that as well. Any Android users? No, mostly iPhone? Okay, perfect. I'll send a walkthrough video on my iPhone. Okay. The other things is making sure you're set up with the right tools. So now that your camera is optimally set up, there are some tools that can make your life a little bit easier. I did link out, like I said, you'll get this presentation. So I did link out to specific tools that I use that I find really helpful that you can get on Amazon. And you don't need all of these tools. These are typically just things that if you find helpful, great. Obviously, some of them are a bit of, an investment at first, but if you're feeling like you're getting really consistent with video and you'd like to step it up a little more in terms of the quality of your lighting, your audio, these are some great options. So a tripod, again, we talked about using the back camera. So having a tripod is a great way to set your phone up to be able to use the back camera. Lighting, a lot of tripods come with a nice ring light now as well. We're going to talk about how lighting is so important for your videos. There's also some nice little selfie lights that you can add to your phone. So I put a link for that as well. So it's a nice attachment you put here, and it almost looks like a mini, a little light that attaches right here. The next thing are little lapel mics. So you probably see some videos where people are talking into like a little microphone. So that just helps, the audio of your video helps block out a lot of some background noise that may come into play. Mics are great for if you're doing more talking to the camera types of videos. And then I also linked to a stabilizer. So for instance, if that's probably the most investment. So that's something I would recommend down the road as you are getting really consistent with your videos. A stabilizer kind of looks like a tripod that you would put your phone on, but it basically takes out any of the little motion that would happen if you are walking while taking video, or if you are kind of panning and taking a video like this. It makes it nice and smooth and consistent. So that is, again, something that I would recommend over time. So I have all the links to these tools for you. I would say if you're just getting started, I would really recommend one of these tripods with a little selfie lay is a nice combo tool that does multiple things. So that's a great place on Amazon for like $20 and you're pretty set. So there we go. All right. So that was our pre-production in terms of settings and tools to use. Now we're going to dive into production. So what actually happens, what videos do you need to take when it comes time to record? Has anyone heard of B-roll or building your B-roll bank of videos? Some nods, some no's. I see Heather.
Sorry, we talked about B-roll on our presentation, so about having
Amazing.
B-roll and things like that. But I love what I know you're gonna cover on all of this, so
Amazing.
it should be somewhat familiar to people who are in the group.
Perfect. So the term B-roll kind of comes from, Hollywood video production of at the beginning of a movie, there's some B-roll shots that kind of set the scene. It's more behind the scenes little videos. So you're probably going to hear this term as you dive more and more into video marketing, but this is one of the best pieces of content that I recommend to start building a bank of these videos. And basically what B-roll is really short clips that you could use over and over again in your video marketing. So for Reels, for TikTok. And in terms of length of these, I always recommend to shoot more clips that are smaller versus like longer clips and having few of them. So for example, some great B-roll tips, and I think this will be great at the end if you want specific B-roll actions for your business, but some great B-roll clips are, for example, if you prop your phone up on your tripod and you take a video of you opening your laptop and typing on the laptop for about 10 seconds, right? Really easy, simple clip to set up. If you prop your phone up on your tripod and maybe it's you making your coffee in the morning, or it's you doing your morning journaling at the park or at the beach. Think of little actions that you take each day or that are very on brand for you. So for me, it's very on brand for me to be playing with my dog in my backyard. And that's just a little clip of a normal thing that I would do every day in my life, but it's showing people the behind the scenes of what that looks like. Now, a big tip for this is that you want your camera to be steady, but you want there to be motion in the video itself. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to take a B-roll kind of showing the beach like this, right, where you're moving, instead, set your phone up to be stationary and you maybe are walking along the beach, right? Or maybe you, again, are journaling at the beach. So keep the phone steady and more so have the movement taking place in the video itself. So again, try and keep these short, multiple clips, the better, because it's way easier to edit in post-production and have multiple clips that you can use over and over again. So I want you to start thinking, what are maybe 5 B-roll ideas that would make sense for your brand? So think of things that you do every day, things that you do as you're working, right? So I know in terms of Julie, the greeting cards, great B-roll would be if you set up your tripod and just film you working for 30 seconds, film you making the greeting cards. That behind the scenes is what people really want to see. If you spend most of your time talking to clients on Zoom or working on your laptop, take short little clips of that. So, and we can, like I said, we'll go into some specific ones for all of you towards the end. Now, going into creating good quality videos. Lighting. Lighting is so important and Instagram has explicitly come out and said this, that they are looking for good lighting and pushing those videos out more. So we talked about the back of your phone. Using a light, you want to make sure you're not backlit. For example, I am backlit right now. So you want to be, if a window is in front of you and having lighting that way, right? Some natural lighting. So take that into consideration for where you are going to film your videos. Also making sure that whatever the subject is of your video is centered in the screen. So if you are the subject of your video sitting and typing on your laptop, just make sure you are in the center middle of the screen. We talked about adding some movement in your B-roll videos. One of the most engaging things that you can do in your videos to grab attention, to lead people to even see your video in the first place and want to continue, is by having movement right away. So I'm going to show some examples of videos and what this looks like. I'm sure a lot of people have seen some transitions as well, where people kind of transition from one thing to the next, especially if it's like, oh, I don't have makeup on, now I have makeup on, right? Type of transitional videos. So think of any ways that you can add movement. At the beginning, are you coming into the screen like this, right? At the beginning, are you walking into the frame? Is there something that you can do to immediately capture attention? The next thing you want to think about is different angles for the same action. So for example, if you are taking some clips of you making your coffee in the morning, I recommend taking short little clips from different angles. So go about your same process, but as you're making your coffee, move your tripod to a slightly different angle, right? Maybe adjust it slightly. Maybe you get a close-up shot versus a far away shot. People love, again, it adds some movement and some different frames and angles to your video overall. I'm going to show an example of what this looks like as well. The next thing I want you to think about in your videos is what are on-brand props or backgrounds that are important, right? So if you're filming all of your videos, for example, in your kitchen, because that is very on brand for you. Maybe you're a dietitian, maybe, right, you're a nutritionist. Think of what is going to be on brand in terms of your props. Again, we talked about different B-roll clips for your videos. I have a green water bottle, which is very on brand for me and one of my brand colors, right? It's a silly thing, but overall, people get used to seeing the same repetition of items and know that, oh, that's Sydney's video, that's on brand for her. So think of things, again, you use every day in your life and that makes sense for you. Now, you've probably heard, use trends, right? Do this trend, use this trending audio. Now, the thing that I recommend, and especially as I work with clients of multiple industries, is you want to make sure a trend makes sense for you and your business. Not every trend is going to be on brand. I don't recommend every trend for all of my clients. So if you see a trend, you hear of a trending audio, something you're seeing consistently online, I want you to think first, is this on brand for me? Does this make sense? But there's also a lot of ways that you can take a trend and adapt it to your niche. Has anyone seen that match your freak trend, that audio that says, is somebody gonna match my freak? Has anyone seen that? No? Okay, let's see. What's another trend I'm seeing a lot right now? Has anyone heard of a trend recently or that they've seen a lot? A specific trend? I'll find one. I'll find one and show you. But for example, I'll let me pull up the match your freak trend after I show you some examples and it will make more sense. You can take a trend and make it very niche to your industry and what you do. So let me show you some examples so this can all kind of come together and make sense. Oops, here we go. Heather and I were talking about how these videos just start right away in these presentations. Okay, so this first one here is a great example of the subject being center. This is a B-roll example, and she's adding some movement. Sorry, is that really loud for people? Can we hear it? Okay, so really quick, she's the center and she's walking in this video here. Okay, so that's another great example. This is another example of B-roll, the second one here, and it's going to show you that example of different angles while doing the same thing. Oops.
So just so you know, Sydney, we can't hear anything if you're
Okay.
hearing anything. So
The audio is not as important. It's kind of just,
no, that's totally
imagery.
fine. Yep.
Okay, so that kind of gave a good example of showing different little B-roll clips throughout this person's everyday life. But you could see, for example, when she was making her coffee, she did a close-up one, she did one a little bit more far away. So this is kind of an example of that. And then this third one here is another B-roll example, very quick, adding some movement and the center being the subject of the video. Okay. And then the last one here is another example of the same action, but in multiple little clips and some different angles. So you probably see all of these, most of them are very short, right? They're very short, very simple, and people just going about some everyday actions. Now, let me pull up an example of that trend I was talking about, so you can see what I mean. This is one of our clients' accounts. Okay. Had anyone seen the trend of when people pour coffee into a clear mug and it shows writing as they pour in? It'll be like black coffee. No? I'm trying to think of trends that you guys would see. What about, has anyone heard the audio that said, "Oh, I wasn't sad, I just needed a holiday"? Has anyone heard that one? Oh, I'm failing on all of these trends. Well,
it probably just means you're seeing a lot more than we are.
Yeah.
And you're probably ahead of the curve. So
well, hopefully this will give you guys some inspiration for some trends. But there was a trending audio that said, "I wasn't sad, I just needed a holiday." And a lot of travel accounts were using this trending audio. Now you may think, oh, if I'm not a travel account, how would I be able to use this trend or use this audio? For example, this is one of our clients who also does social media marketing, and she works with a lot of wine and food industries. So we adapted that trend and used some B-roll footage in the background, and we just changed what the wording looked like for her. So it says, "Oh, I wasn't just sad, I just needed a social media manager who gets wine." Right? So that's a way that we used a trend and adapted it to her business. And these were all videos that you're seeing here that we have in her B-roll bank. We didn't need to record anything new. We just used B-roll that we've already had. So that makes it really easy for if you see a trend, if you see something coming up, you're like, oh, let me just, adapt this to my industry and I'll use some past B-roll footage that I have. Okay.
Sydney, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So the content then that you're posting is just like the text message is really the focus, and then the B clip is just from your bank that's appropriate with what you're trying to say. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I get that now. So is the person speaking the text on screen?
It depends what audio you're using. It depends if you're doing a voiceover. There's a lot of I would say the most simple way to do B-roll, and the first thing that I would recommend for people is not doing any speaking, using a B-roll clip and adding a trending like music audio on top of it. So for example, this first clip here, this is just text on the screen. And all it is music in the background that you would add on.
Mhm.
So there's no speaking in this reel. I would say the next, like, that's like the beginner level I would recommend. The next level after that, kind of intermediate, would be if you're going to do a voiceover or you're going to be speaking something. We're going to get to some like talking to camera examples as well. So you can kind of see what that would look like.
Okay.
But
And is there a recommended smallest text font?
for Instagram, so for example, all of these fonts that you see on these videos, that's all created in Instagram. So that's all adding text that Instagram would provide. So those are things you can add on to the video in Instagram itself. We'll get into a little bit of that in post-production too.
I'm just wondering if there's a size recommendation, like don't go lower than 14 point or 18 point or maybe 12 point. I don't know.
I would say when you're doing it in Instagram itself, it doesn't necessarily have specific font sizes. It's
I
kind
see.
of more so like graphic design wise, where you can kind of use your fingers to make it bigger or smaller on the video.
Oh, right.
I
Okay.
would recommend you want
Like
to
that
make
one's much
sure.
bigger than the fourth one. First is much bigger than the fourth one. Like I
Yeah.
can't even read the fourth one
Yeah.
or the third one.
I
Well,
would
I think the
say,
important thing too, and I'll just jump in here, Sydney, from a brand perspective and as a graphic designer, when you understand who your audience is, gear your font size to your audience. Okay. So that's where really having your ideal audience in mind when you're creating this is going to be really helpful. What is the font size that your audience is going to be able to read, or hold the screen, know how to hold the screen to read it if it's really small. So I think that that's really key, and staying on brand. So is the font the same font that you're using in everything? Just from a visual designer and a brand perspective, I think if you can't read it, then you shouldn't be putting your type in there that for your audience to try to like get their bifocals out and read. So that's just
Right.
my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't want to hijack things. Thank you.
No, all good. And these are things that, over time, you start realizing what is your brand after, you're posting videos and getting consistent with it. In terms of where you're actually putting the video, the text on the video, I do recommend keeping the text right in this kind of like center range here. You don't want the text too high. Instagram will cut it off. You don't want it too low here. The caption will show over your text. So keep things mostly in this little kind of center square. So you can see here, like I would say, keeping things kind of in these bounds work well. When you see a reel like this third one, for example, with lots of text on the screen and it's kind of over everything else, this is kind of a strategy that people use when they want people to spend more time on their reel. So what this means is, like Heather was mentioning, if someone has to hold down your reel to read that text, that is feeding the algorithm that, oh, this person is spending more time on your reel. That's also why when we're doing these short clips that are like 7 seconds, Instagram repeats and replays these videos over and over because it's so short. So that's also telling the algorithm, oh, this person is rewatching your reel multiple times. It's going to push it out to more people. So these are just little strategies like what you're seeing here that people are doing. Again, we don't need to like get into the super nitty gritty of like all the little strategies, but just to explain kind of what we're seeing here and why, you know, text is the way it is. But great questions. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about in terms of production is face-to-camera talking videos. So you probably noticed with all those examples and what I've talked about, it's not really someone sitting there and like speaking to the camera. Now, when doing a face-to-camera talking videos, these are great in terms of sharing your expertise, giving some value and education. We also want to think of ways that you can add some action while you're talking. So if you, like, for example, if Heather's going to talk to the camera about why branding is so important, right? Try and think of ways that you can add action. So if it's while Heather's making her morning coffee and she's talking to the camera, right? Little things that we can do again to capture people's attention, keep movement in the video. So it's not just like sitting there, you know, just talking to the camera. It can get a little boring, right? If it's like a minute video that you're just, you know, watching of someone sitting there talking to the camera. Now, some of the examples I'm going to show as well shows examples of even if the person is sitting talking to the camera, it's in little clips, meaning we're taking out pauses, we're taking out white space. You want to keep it very engaging and like quick and moving. People's attention spans are very short these days. So if you are talking to the camera, something you would do in post-production is just taking out any of those like ums or long pauses, like before and after speaking. Now, has anyone heard of like hooks before in your social media marketing? Like, oh, add a hook, right? So this is also something you're going to want to think about doing in your face-to-camera talking videos. Now, for example, I had a client and this was like a major like light bulb went off in her head when I was talking about this. She used to start all of her videos saying, for example, if it was me, I would say, start every video, "Hi, I'm Sydney Chase. I'm a social media marketing expert, and I'm going to talk to you about XYZ." I gave the advice to flip it around. We want to have a hook go first to know people, so people know what they are getting in that video. And then you can introduce yourself or establish yourself as an expert. So I gave a quick example here for a dietitian. They would say first, "The one thing I wish I knew when I first started my health journey." And then they would say, "As a dietitian helping women heal their hormones," right? So initially, it's not going to hook people in to say, "Hi, I'm a dietitian who helps women heal their hormones." They want to know what they are getting out of the video. So I want you to kind of flip that script around. The next thing you're going to do after you say that hook, you establish yourself as an expert, is then provide the actual meat, the actual value that you're teaching in that video. The last thing you're going to want to do is a quick call to action. So ending each video by saying, "Follow me for more hormone healing tips," right? Or "Comment below XYZ." So that's kind of the formula that I would recommend following in these face-to-camera talking videos. Now I'm going to show some examples. So let's see. Actually hearing the audio for these would be a bit helpful. But you're going to see in this first one, she says the hook and then she establishes her expertise. So why is TikTok telling me I should become an S Corp? We're accountants that specialize in the beauty industry. Okay, so that's an example of kind of how to flip that script. This next one, she starts with a hook. "Can you tell me what these 3 viral reels have in common?" They start with the outcome first. So that's a great hook that this person used in her reel. Now you can also see with this video that it's not one long clip of her talking. There's little clips in between. So you see there's little clips that are spliced together. Here's an example of face-to-camera talking, but she adds some movement right away into the screen. Okay, so adds in some little movement. She has some different clips where she's doing little movements as she's talking. Right, so multiple clips together. And then here is very similar. She has her coffee in her hand. If you take anything away from this story, you need to stop obsessing over the time you post on Instagram. Hook, she goes into the value. Okay, so some examples of kind of how this looks like if you feel more comfortable doing face to camera talking videos. Any questions on that before we go into post-production? Make sense? Does this all make sense? Beautiful. All right. So let me just go back to, oops, my presenter mode. All right. So in terms of post-production, this mainly has to do with editing and what fonts and colors you're using that are on brand for you. So we talked about keep your videos short and quick. Take out pauses and white space. Find your style and stick to it. So if your style is doing face to camera talking videos, teaching about something, get consistent with that first before you go out and try and all of the bells and whistles, all the fancy things that other people are doing. Again, you don't have to do every trend. You don't have to dance. You don't have to point. Do what you are most comfortable doing. In terms of editing apps, these are the top apps that I would recommend. InShot is a great one in terms of taking all your little clips and putting them together into one video. CapCut does a very similar thing. Obviously, Instagram itself. Instagram has really broadened their editing features and has made it a lot easier to put all your videos in there, crop some, add your text. Canva is also another great option if you feel more comfortable using Canva. You can upload your videos there, you can add your text there, and then the Captions app as well. There is another app where you probably see a lot of people kind of using fancy captions that people don't use. That's not available through Instagram. The Captions app gives you a lot more options in terms of different texts, different styles, different colors. But I recommend to use captions anytime there is like you speaking or a voiceover. A lot of people don't listen to videos on audio. They just watch them. So also when you are editing and putting your videos together in Instagram, make sure you are adding captions. Now, with all of this, like Heather was saying, we want to be very consistent here in terms of your brand. Make sure you're using the same fonts and your branding colors in all of your videos. These little things help people recognize your videos instantly and say, oh, I can easily tell that is Julie's brand. That is Julie's video based on how she put this together, based on what it looks like, right? When we think of everything we've talked about, the props you're using, the backgrounds, right? All of these little things make your videos unique and make it authentic to you. Okay. So a little freebie for you guys, and we'll get into some questions. I have a freebie here that is how to create endless content ideas. So this will really help in terms of the actual content of your video posts that you can use this process over and over again. I'm working on putting together a little B-roll checklist for everyone lead freebie. So if you're following me on Instagram, you can stay tuned for that. But I would love to use this time to answer questions that you may have that are, specific to you and your business, or questions about anything I chatted about.
Before people if you ask any questions, that's great. But I think it was really helpful. Some of the things that we've talked about in our academy earlier this month had to do with lighting and things like that. And I was coming at it just from a designer, video, photography, creative kind of perspective. And I think it's really interesting that you shared that, Instagram's going to be putting out reels that are well lit, and just your quality camera things, that some of those things are really tied so much to the algorithm. So that was really helpful information to know that what we've been learning and talking about here in this group are also algorithm drivers. So that was awesome. So
yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of little things that Instagram takes into consideration in terms of what they are pushing out.
Mhm.
I will say a little bonus here in terms of the algorithm. Recently, Instagram has come out and said that one of the metrics they're weighing the most heavily right now is the share send metric, right? So that little arrow that you would like send a reel to someone, share it with someone. They are really heavily weighing that metric. So if you see a reel that says something like, send this video to someone who you want to go to Italy with this summer, right? Or the person who sent you this wants to enjoy margaritas on the beach or whatever it is. Those are little strategies and techniques, you know, kind of people are using to get people to send and share things more. So also think of ways that you could have one of those B-roll video clips of you doing literally anything that's on brand for you. The text on the screen could say, the person who sent you this wants you to know XYZ that's related to your brand, right? So that's a really simple video that honestly I would challenge everyone, if you want a simple idea you can implement this week, try that. Take a 7-second clip, 7-second clip of you doing something, add that hook text on top in Instagram and post it, right? It can be as easy as that.
Nice. Awesome. Any questions? Those of you who are left here, I know we had some people that had to exit a little bit, and I know they'll be reaching out and circling back with you too. But
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Sydney? You covered a lot. Julie, you're on mute if you're trying to speak.
I do have a question, which is, you know, I make greeting cards, so I'm using like, it's a decorative kind of thing. And I use on a lot of my, like for my direct sales, like on my invoices and things, I have a little, like a heart kind of swoosh thing. And I was
Cute.
wondering, do you think it's a good or bad idea to like put that at the top overlay in a video in the bottom? So like when people see that, they always know it's my video.
Yeah, like as a little like
Like a
trademark
frame.
logo.
No,
I
like
would,
a frame.
yeah, I would say, as long as it doesn't look like too busy or too, like
Mhm,
it doesn't distract from the content of the
mhm,
videos itself, I would maybe recommend also think what's going to be easiest editing for you. If like
mhm.
figuring out how to do that out is holding you back from posting, I would say like don't worry about it for now. But a way you could do that is if you have that little heart on any in your camera roll on your phone, you can add a like photo into your reels through Instagram, and you could
Mhm,
make it like tiny, I would say more as like a trademark, maybe like in the corner of your video,
mm,
just so it's not like overly distracting to the video itself. But I really love the way you're thinking of like making it your own and
mm,
adding your little
mhm.
logo. So yeah, I would just think of like user experience, like is that going to be distracting or not in terms of what it actually looks like.
Okay, and what about putting like, I didn't see like URLs on any of those videos. Do you just,
No.
you want to get them to sign up for your channel, and then if they're interested, then they get that kind of information?
Yes, so Instagram is really not compatible at all with URLs except for the link in your bio or a link in your stories. So the call to actions you more so want to be leading to in the reel itself is leading people to read your caption. So if it was, let's say your hook, Julie, was something like 3 things I do differently in my greeting card business that you would never guess. And then it would say, read the caption below to find out. So you're leading people to stay on your post for longer. You're leading them to read your caption. And then maybe at the end of your caption, it's something like, follow me to learn more about my greeting card business, right? Or comment below what your favorite type of greeting card is to get or something like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're more so leading people to take engagement, to follow you. But yeah, no like URLs or anything, yeah, in the reel itself.
Okay, and you're using the word caption in that context. to mean the
Yes.
text on screen.
The text at the bottom of the video. So the actual, let me pull up.
Like the actual post.
Yeah, the actual
That's not on the video. It would be down below.
so like this, oh gosh, sorry.
Yeah, I can follow basic.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't read it, but I see where you are.
Yes,
Oh,
so the
text
actual
that you-
caption.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's also, it's really helpful when you're creating content to really know what your brand strategy is, to make sure that you're creating videos and creating hooks and creating content that is part of your brand strategy and what your goals are for that,
Yes.
to really drive, because none of your marketing efforts will really work if you don't have that solid brand strategy that's like, okay, this is what my brand is about. I'm really clear. I know who I'm talking to. I know what my message is specifically for, and I know who my narrow niche is. It helps your content, wouldn't you say, Sydney? Like so much more targeted when you can really hone in. So wow, this was a jam-packed. I think we could probably have like a whole nother session
I
on
know.
this. But this has been really, really good. So be sure, I'm going to be sending out a follow-up with kind of the replay of this. Sydney, you're going to send me the deck so that people can have that, which is huge bonus.
Yes.
And kind of your freebie. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. I look forward to continuing to get to know you in your agency. And thanks so much for being here, Julie, live. And I know there's more that are off on the side. And so thank you for being here. And
Absolutely.
I hope you all have an awesome day.
Amazing.
All
Yay.
right. Thanks,
have to
everybody.
So much.
I have to say that this training, if you want to call it training, I joined to like get this info, is the best I've ever seen since I started my business. I got
Awesome.
so much value out of, like, instead of just saying, I hear over and over, add a hook, add it, and I like, give me an example. Give me, it's like, so I know a lot, but how to execute on those and what they really are, fabulous.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome feedback, Julie. Thank you so much. I will look forward to connecting with you afterwards, because this is the kind of practical stuff that we do in our group every single week. So I love to hear that. So thank you for that added remark. That's really blesses me. So awesome. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. Have an awesome day, and we'll be in touch, Julie. Thanks, Sydney.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.